Okay, hello everyone and welcome to the class training session for today. My name is Samuel Martin. I will be your presenter for today. Also on the line with us today, Alex Ariti, facilitator for this session, and Oliver Moore will be handling some of the questions in the questions panel in your control panel. For anyone who's not able to hear, I'm kind of pointing to how you join audio, and I'll come back to some of the rest of that in a minute. I'm kind of trying to start a little bit slower, just to allow a few more people to filter in. While I'm doing that, I will take this opportunity to acknowledge that we are currently on lands that have been occupied by humans for at least the last 40,000 years. I'm currently on the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, although that's just one tiny part of a vast continent and a large number of islands surrounding it. All of the First Nations peoples of this land and its islands deserve our respect, and I'd like to take this chance now to pay that respect. I make special note of the elders of these lands, whether they be past, present, or emerging, and I'd like to note that these lands were never ceded, and that sovereignty was never extinguished. Okay, just a little bit of housekeeping. You won't be able to unmute yourself on this session today. However, we do have the questions section in your control panel. If you do want to ask a question, please feel free to use that. Those questions can include, can I come off mute to ask the presenter my question? And I'll just let you know that this session is being recorded. We may or may not add this video to our website later on. Okay, welcome to class training on customization today. Today we're talking about how to customize class to make it yours and to make it work better for you. Okay, an overview of the session. So today we're going through things like fields, standard and custom fields, types and categories, field mapping, custom actions, and customizing triage. This session is not the general user session. This session is primarily aimed at class administrators. So I hope most of those things already mean something to you. If not, we will be going over all of those and a little bit more today. Some of the newer things that we've just put into class, we'll touch on those briefly, but we'll come back to those another day and explain all of the new features of class a little bit more thoroughly. Okay, so today we'll start with fields. So what standard fields are, what custom fields are, and this is probably a good chance to define some of the terminology that we use for class, that being fields, options, and responses. So I'm going to flick over to class now and have a look at what I'm talking about. So I've already opened class, as I was saying. This is not the general user session. I've already logged in and I've already loaded up a client screen. This client name may look familiar to some of you. Okay, so we're talking about fields, options, and responses. So these are our fields. Something like this client type, that's a field, and this is the field. If you have a look in here, all of these are very familiar. These are what are called options. So these are the options that we can select for this field, the client type field. Now, if I just click out of there, as we saw before, the response that was set on this client record, when this client record was saved, is that this client type is an individual. So now we call the response for this field is individual. So we've got the field, we've got the options for this field, and whichever option you select becomes the response for that field. So while we're looking at this, we can also say that this field, the client type field, is a standard field. So I'll show you a few things that you can do with standard fields. So when we're starting with customization, something we're going to be looking at a lot today is this button over here, customize. So if you hover over the customize, you get a couple of options here, customize view and clear view customizations. If you click that button, that will reset class to all of the default options, and all of your customizations will disappear. You can set them up again, but you might want to avoid that button if you don't want your customizations on this particular screen to be removed. So click on Customize View to do some customization of that client screen. Okay, when we click over to there, what we see are a few tabs here. We've got the General tab, Custom Fields, which we'll come back to, Standard Fields, the tab Captions. I'll just go over this one really quickly. So I'll click back over to the client record, and we've got these tabs here. And if we go back to our customizing window there, here are those, the tab options there, the tab Captions. So if you wanted to change those, you could. I don't think we recommend doing that. Probably not a great idea, but it is there and available for you if you want to do that. Again, probably not recommended. We'll have a look at the standard fields, a few of the things we can do here with our standard fields. So here's one of our fields, keywords. Maybe not a field that everyone uses, but let's just for demonstration purposes see what we can do with it. Excuse me, how did that happen? There we go, never mind. Okay, we can make this field required so that anytime anyone wants to save a new client, they will have to fill in that field before they can save that. Or we could actually remove some of these standard fields. So if your center has made a decision that you're not using keywords, you could actually remove that from this client screen if you wanted to. Probably a little bit of a warning that some of this should be used a bit carefully. You can come and unhide this field if you do need it in the future. And also, just before anyone asks the question, will this change any of the data? No, it doesn't. If you hide that field, all of the data remains the same. So when you're running reports, all the data is still there. It's still the same. That will just remove that field from the screen, and it can't be used in the future. So those are some of the things we can do with standard fields, and we'll see some more things a bit later on, but we'll come back to that. We'll get onto custom fields now. I've got a little thing here. This kind of is more of a reminder for myself, really. Anyway, custom fields. So we can add them to the client screen, the server screen. There's actually several other places we can do it. We've just recently, as of yesterday, I believe, made custom fields available on actions, project service actions, and additional parties as well. As I just said, that's very, very new. So there may be some teething problems with that, just to let you know. We might have a look at that really quickly, but we're going over that after all the bugs are ironed out in a few weeks' time, and we'll run a full session on that. Okay, so we're talking about custom fields, and one of the things to consider when you're setting up custom fields is where the field should go. On which screen does this field belong? And oftentimes it's the client screen or the server screen, which is fine, but there's a couple of things to consider here. So when setting up a custom field, it's a good idea to try to think about what the field is, and mostly if the information for this field is going to change. So let's pop back over to class and have a look at a couple of fields that we've got. I'll pop back into my client record. So we have something like the client type field. This is a field that's not going to change, or it's pretty unlikely to. Let me find a better example, something like country of birth. So for clients, country of birth is listed as Australia. It's pretty unlikely that in the future we're going to say that client's country of birth is now New Zealand. That's pretty unlikely. So if we're talking about a piece of data like that, something that's not going to change, then the custom field you might want to set up might want to go on the client screen. I'm just going to load up a service right now, which I probably should have done earlier. Apologies for that. Anyway, so the other option is that we could put a custom field onto the service screen. And we usually do that for things that will or can change over time. One of the interesting examples of this is disability status. So for a lot of clients, something like an intellectual disability, that's pretty much not going to change. But for something like maybe a physical disability or some of these other disabilities, that can change. There can be changes in people's disabilities, which is the reason why we have this field on the client screen and not the sorry, we have it on the server screen and not the client screen, is because this this status can change for clients over time, and we want to be able to record those changes for our clients. So we might add our custom field to the service screen if this piece of data is likely to change, or even if it's possible that it will change in the future. Okay, so having said that, let's have a look at how to create custom fields and a few other things as well. Again, we're going to customize and customize view to open the customization screen. Okay, and again, we get these same tab options: custom fields, standard fields, and tab captions. Again, here's the general one. There's not a lot in here and not a lot you can do with this. You could change the names of some of the groups of fields if you wanted to. Again, probably not recommended. Okay, we want custom fields, so we'll click into there. Okay, so before I show you how to create a new custom field, I just want to show you a couple of things that we can do with custom fields. And the first thing I see when I open this custom fields tab is this thing right at the top, which is James's section, and it says right there in big capitals, do not edit. Okay, I'm not going to edit that then because James doesn't want me to, so I'm just going to close that down and that's gone. Now I've got another group of custom fields here. Here's a good example, employment. So this is, if I click on that, this opens the screen for this group of custom fields that we've set up. So we could change the name, we could edit anything that's in here, we could hide all of these fields, the entire group if we wanted to, or we could edit anything that's already set up. Let me come back to that. I'll show you how to create a new custom field so we can start from the start. Okay, so creating a new custom field, I've kind of just skipped over that. I always forget that. Apologies for this. I'm just going to close that. Okay, so as we saw before, you can create an entire new group of fields. I'll just flick over to this service record, just in case anyone isn't aware. I'm sure you all know, but just in case. This is the basic data group of fields, and if I click there, that disappears. The entire group of field is removed, and we've got this other group of fields, the service details. So we could create an entire group of fields with this white background, and there's a little gap in between each group of fields so that we know where they start and end. Okay, so we could create an entire new group of fields if we wanted to do that. It's fairly simple. We just give the group a name. there's an option here to hide the title of the group of fields. I don't know why you would do that. If you want to, that option is available. I'm sure there's a reason why that's there. Someone at some stage probably needed that. Okay, so setting up a new group of fields is pretty simple. You may then want to put a field into that new group of fields that you've created. You would click on New Custom Field. Okay, so once we get here, the first thing we see is the general information, and then we've got additional information. So we'll start with the general information first. We have to select a group. We could have set one up before. I'm simply going to choose one of the options here. It's not going to be James's section. I'm just going to choose archive because that's a pretty harmless sort of group of fields, and I don't think I'm going to be ruining anything for anyone by doing this. Okay, so the title is also required, so we must give it a group. We also must give it a title. Let's just pretend that we want to add, I don't know, like the box number to our archive section, so we still keep paper records, and we've got all those paper records stored in boxes in storage, and they're all those boxes are numbered. So this is the box number for this record. We've printed out these, or we've got the slip of paper, and this is the box number that slip of paper lives in storage. Okay, anyway, the next thing is the map type. Okay, so you can make this, you have to select one of these, and you can either make this custom field, this new field that we're creating, dependent on what type of service this service is, or what problem types are selected in that service. I'll select this service type map type right now, just because that's probably the more common one, though I probably will demonstrate the problem type map type a little bit later. Okay, once we've selected our map type, then we get available for, required for, and show for. You've probably heard me say this before, but I'm not sure why show for is here. It's a bit of a double of available for. We recommend ignoring show for completely, just leave it alone is pretty much our recommendation. So once we click into available for, we get the list of service types because we have selected the service type map type. I'll just demonstrate. If I change it over to the problem type map type, I can make it available for any of the problem types. Anyway, I'll change that back really quickly because that's a really long list. Anyway, all right, so I'm just going to select legal advice just as a demonstration. Okay, so we can make this available for all of the advices that we're doing. Again, show for will autofill as does required for, and required for is pretty self-explanatory. If you want this field to be mandatory, then you leave that in there. If the field does not need to be mandatory, then you simply click that cross and that field will be available on all of our advices, but not required. Okay, we then come down to the type. There's a few options in here as well. Comment and essay box. I won't go over this in too much detail. I'm sure you know what it is. It's long form text. So you can write up advice notes or something like that. I'm not sure why you would put that on the service, but you can add that to as a custom field. You can make a custom field on the server screen or even the client screen if you like. And you can make a comment or essay box. We usually recommend leaving the control height as to whatever the default value is. You can change it if you want. I'd recommend testing. In fact, I probably should have mentioned this earlier. We do have the test environment, the playground version of class. If you do want to test any of these customizations that you will see today before you put them into your instance of class, we do highly recommend testing these in the test version of class before you set up things in your live environment. So you could try changing that control height on a custom field and seeing what it does. Okay, so the types we've got are a single input. If you select that, you then need to choose a data type. So this could be text, so that's kind of short form text rather than the long form. It could be a number, so ones, twos, and threes, etc. An email address, a date, or a date and time are your options. That is for single input. We've also got multiple input. If you do that one, you then need to choose answer options. So you can set up multiple inputs, and then you can set up multiple date times, any multiple text boxes for the same field, any of those options that we saw before. Then we've got the multiple choice answers. These are the ones most commonly used. So I'm going to come back to those because the only other ones left are label only. I'm not sure why you would set up a custom field that is a label only. Again, there must be a reason for that. I don't know what it is. If you want to do that, you can. And then a single checkbox, we don't really recommend these. These are not great on our end for analyzing data. We don't really like them. If you really do want to use them, it's there for you to use. Again, we don't really like them and kind of don't recommend using the single checkboxes. Our recommendation is to use one of these choices here, the multiple choice, only one answer or multiple answers, pretty self-explanatory. People select an answer and that's the answer, or they can select multiples, just like the problem types. Okay, I'm going to select multiple choice, only one answer for our demonstration today, because that's the most common one that I've found that is used. Okay, once we select that, we get a control type and we need to select one of these. So we've got radio buttons. Again, we don't like these for data analysis reasons either. The drop down is the one that we like. If you are setting up custom fields, a drop down field is probably our recommendation, depending on the field that you're setting up. These are the ones we like. These are the ones we recommend to you. All right. Again, the control width, you can leave whatever is in there. The active button, pretty self-explanatory. If you've already set these custom fields up, you can deactivate them. Why you would want to hide the title, again, not something I really know. I'm sure someone at some stage must have wanted to do that for some reason. Okay. We come down to the answer options. Okay, so we've set up a drop-down box that we want to add to our service screen. We now need to choose options for that field. So the way to do that is come into answer options and select new. Now we can put in whatever we like. I'm going to run through this pretty quickly. Let's see if I can do it before I get to the end of what I'm explaining. I doubt I can. You give it a title. You can make it active or not active. Again, you can come in and deactivate any of the responses that you have set up previously if you want to. And then you can make one of these the default answer as well, just by checking that tick box there. That's misspelled. I wonder if I can, there we go. That didn't work. If you want to make a default option, you can. Okay, so once you've got everything entered, you simply click save and close once you've got them all in. And this is kind of a setup that we kind of, you know, it's pretty common. We like this sort of setup, and it's something that's used pretty regularly. Yes, no, and unknown. Those are good options to enter into your field. Okay, so looking at the additional information, the first thing we see in here is the report column header. It says here, leave this empty to use the title. So what you could do is put something else in here, like so. And when you're running reports, that's what you'll see instead of the title. Again, not sure why anyone would want to do that. If you do want to, that's available for you. Again, probably leave that blank just to get the same title in these on the server screen and in the reports as well. Okay, show in list view, I'll show you really quickly. I'll click on search services. Okay, so show in list view will add this field as one of the columns here in search services. We're putting this field onto our service screen. You could put a custom field onto your client screen. So when you're doing search clients, you can have a column in here just like that. And I will show you how you do this. You come into customize columns. Click on there, you get the column chooser down the bottom. That wasn't very obvious that that popped up there. Here it is here. And this one here looks very much like a custom field to me. So this is a bit more customization that is available in class. You can customize this search services screen. You can do it to the search client screen as well. You simply pick up, drag and drop any of those fields that you want, and you can have your custom fields in here, place them wherever you like. The other thing you can do is take any of these fields and remove them. I don't need to know the additional parties. While I'm searching for services, I can remove that. I'm going to take that test one out again, just for demonstration purposes. And all of these customizations, just so you know, all of these customizations that we do on this search services or search client screen, those customizations are made to the individual. So the individual that sets up these column customizations will get these customizations just for their login. It won't affect anyone else. And while I'm here, I'm just going to go clear those view customizations. Is that what I want? No, sorry. I'm going to clear those column customizations, revert that back to the standard default way that it looks, which is that. Okay, so if you want your field to be available in search services or search clients, you tick the show in list view box. Now we've got show in report view, which is pre-ticked when you're setting up custom fields. So that's pretty self-explanatory. This field will be available in reports, mostly the DIY reports. If you want this field available in reports, leave that box ticked. Okay, there's a couple more things here that I will go over, but with a few warnings. Add additional tips. Add additional tips. When I check that, I get this, and we can add additional tips title. I've tested this before, and I don't think it works. It doesn't really do anything, so I recommend steering clear of that and not using it. It is there, but I don't recommend using it. The other thing we've got is this add other input. Okay, so when you tick that box, this is something that does work, though I don't know why you would use it. I will save this custom field in a moment and show you what these things do. I'll show you, I'll just quickly do this. And you will see later that whatever you put in here doesn't appear on the screen, so I'm not sure what this does, but it doesn't add anything to the service screen when you set up this custom field. This label, this one does, so I'm just going to go with that. That's not how you spell that. All right. You can give this a max length. The validation message also doesn't seem to do anything. I'll just demonstrate that as well. All right. Okay. So you can give this a max length. So this is what we're putting in here is an other input. So we're setting up a custom field. We've set the field as a drop-down box. So now we're adding another input to the field that we're setting up. I don't know why you want two inputs for a single field. It doesn't really make sense, but it is available. And we'll see what happens when I click save and close. I'll close that. I'll come back. I made that available only on advices, didn't I? I think. Gee, my memory's bad. Anyway, ignore that. I'm just going to reload this advice service we've got there. And I put that field, my memory's not that bad, I put that into the, come on load, hurry up, into the archive section So here's the field we set up, the box number. There's our custom field. And the thing to note here is that the custom fields don't look any different to the standard fields. So the outreach field is a standard field. That looks like that field right there. And the box number, this is just another field. So this is just something for admins to keep in mind. This is for admins to manage the custom fields. They don't look any different. They look exactly the same as standard fields. As you can see, we've got our options in there. Obviously, this doesn't make sense, but just ignore that. So what we did set up is this additional input. So now for this one field, the box number, we've got these options we can select or not, and then we've got a text box that we can enter into as well. So that's available. Why you would want that, I don't know, but that is available if you do want it. Okay, I'm sure there's probably at least one reason. I'm sure there's at least one example as to why that does exist. Okay, so that's how you set up a custom field. I'm just going to click back over to this custom fields section and show you a couple more things here. So this is the group of custom fields, or is it? No, sorry, this is just a custom field itself, I believe. It is custom field employer type. Okay, so this is one of the fields that has been set to the problem type map type, and you've set this custom field employer type to only the employment problem types. And there are the options that are set up. Excuse me. So I'll pop back over to my, just give me a sec. I'll pop back over to my service in just a second. Where is this? Group employment. I'm trying to find what group of fields this is in. I'm now just trying to pop back over to my service. Okay. I'm not seeing it. Anyway, never mind. What I will do is I will show you what happens just so you can see it, just as a demonstration, so you've seen it happen. I'm going to add an employment problem type to this service, and we'll see that field appear. Okay, so I'll just add that one. There's that. That service now has an employment problem type. And when I scroll down, what was the custom field? I just missed it, didn't I? What was it? An employer type. That's just appeared there. Okay, so we've got the NACLAT custom fields and then the employment group of fields there. So if I remove that problem type, that field will disappear again. And that's how the problem type, map type, custom fields work. I'll just end this demonstration fairly quickly. Okay, I'll check that, close this, and then we will see that, where was it, the NACLAT custom fields, and then it was the employment fields. They're gone now. So we can edit any of the custom fields that are available to us. We can set them up for problem types. We can set them up for service types. Okay, that's pretty much custom fields. I might pause now and say hi to Alex, our facilitator, because we haven't done that yet today. And I always like hearing from Alex. So I'm just going to ask, are there any questions so far, Alex?
Hey Sam, we've had a few questions come through that Ollie has answered. They should be available for everyone to see in the questions tab, but just to give you an overview, we've had a couple of specific questions, especially relating to if you change a field. So generally what it seems like is if you change an existing custom field to have either a default answer or to have like a different, like a drop-down box or something like that, it won't change the previous records, but it will change any new services that you add that to. Otherwise, there's no other real specifics, but I mean, as always, if you want to get in touch with us, I'll pop our email address in the chat.
Thanks very much, Alex. Okay, so we'll move on. Types and categories. Okay, So with this, we can change the options, just like people have been asking about when you change options and defaults and hiding fields. We'll go and have a look at how we do all of that. Okay, so when we're back into class, we click on System Settings and then Types and Categories. Okay, so we get a huge long list. Yours may not be this long. I think it's different off the top of my head. I think it's different for admins and advanced admins. If you want all of the options in there, then you need to have your role set in class or changed in class. And I probably should have mentioned this earlier as well. A lot of the stuff, in fact, probably all of the stuff that you're seeing today, or maybe not, but most of it is only available to admins and advanced admins. Okay. So, types and categories. So one of the good ways to demonstrate this, we've got all of our fields in here. There's a whole bunch of them. I'm just going to choose this one, the contact method type. I'm actually just going to click back over to the list of types and categories, or types and cats as we call them. To show you what else we've got, we've got a little description of all of them here. This is to blah, blah, blah. This is for the preferred contact method type. So the way that your client likes you to contact them. You can set up all the different options in here. So there are standard options. If you want to know if any of these options have been added or if they are standard options, you can check the created by field. Any of these ones are the standard ones, and I've just added a couple today, and I don't seem to be able to remove them, so I'll get onto that a little bit later. Okay. So you can change any of these options in here. You can edit them, you can add new ones. We can do a couple of other things. So as we can see, I've added Zoom and GTW. Maybe we want to be able to select which piece of software we were using for our video conference. I know that we use multiple bits of software for our video conferences here at CLCs Australia. Anyway, if you want to add a new option to this particular field, you simply click New. Okay, so the reason I had set those up before was to demonstrate parenting, or I was just preparing to demonstrate parenting. Anyway, once you are setting up a new one, you will need to choose a parent. So let's just say you want to be able to select exactly which type of video conferencing software was used. You would set the parent to video conference. If you ever need help parenting anything, you can contact us at the help desk, and we're more than happy to help you with that and try to figure out what makes sense. The codes aren't required. I've probably mentioned this before, but I'll just say it briefly again now. Codes are only there for people who do data entry. Sometimes they like to just enter in a code and it brings up whatever they're looking for. It's often used for things like problem types. Often people are entering the same problem types, so they learn the code, type in the code rather than go scrolling through that giant list of problem types. You can enter a code if you want or not. It's not required. A name is required. That's not what I'm going to enter this as. We've also used another piece of software called Jitsi, which is also video conferencing software. So I'm going to put that in. You can add a description if you want. And once you're done, you simply click Save and Close. Okay, we've now got a new option to select for this field. You can choose either Zoom, GTW, or Jitsi, and all three of those are parented to video conference. Now, let's just say that we've decided Jitsi isn't working for us or Zoom isn't working for us. I know a lot of people, have not a lot of us really like Zoom or anything, but anyway, let's just say Zoom isn't working for us. We've decided to stop using it. We don't even want people to be able to select it anymore. You can now hide that. So we've got a couple of buttons here, hide and set as default. We'll hide that field. That field's hidden. Sorry, that's not a field, that's an option. that option is now hidden. That can't be selected anymore. Again, that won't delete any data. All of the data that exists will still be there and will still be counted in your reports, but that option can't be selected again in the future. Okay, our centre's now decided we want to give Zoom another go. Too quick at writing it off. Okay, we need to unhide that so that we can select it again. Okay, now we've decided that Zoom is the only piece of software that works for us, and that is the only way that we are going to contact clients in the future. This obviously is only for demonstration purposes. That's not very realistic, but anyway, if you do want to set a default option for a field, you can. You simply click that. That's now, so any of the any services that you're setting up now will have that option auto-selected for that field. I might just pop back over to this service record. There are a couple of bits of data that we really do want collected. The main one being family violence indicator. I wouldn't recommend setting a default option for that unless your center really does have a pretty solid reason to do so. So I don't know if there's a good client in custody status might be a really good option to set a default for. If just as an example, if your center has kind of a policy that anyone who calls up who wants assistance and they are a person who is in custody, and your policy is that you refer them to another service because it's too difficult for your service or whatever reason, and there's a specialist service who do that, and they're really good at it, so you always refer them to that. What you could do is set the default to no. We don't assist clients who are in custody. So you come over to this set the default, and then for every service that is saved, the option for that field, client in custody, will be no. If that makes sense for your center, that's just one example. I'm not suggesting anyone do that. That's just one example of why you would set a default. And the reason you would do that is because that field will then have a 100% collection rate. They'll all be set to no. And you won't be missing any data. So when we go to do our data analysis, it'll be really consistent data. I'm now just going to remove that default. If you have set a default and you don't want a default for that field anymore, you simply come into types and categories and click remove default. I think that's about most of what we can do with types and categories. If you have set them up and you realize you don't want them anymore, you can deactivate them rather than hiding them. Yeah, okay. All right, types and categories. Yeah, that's pretty much what types and categories does. Let's move on to field mapping. Okay, so what this does is it hides or displays the fields themselves, not the options. And you can do it by different service types. You can also make fields mandatory doing this. Okay, back in class. Again, if you click on system settings and then come over to field mapping, let's have a look at this. What was the thing I was, I've got a, let me see if we can, I think this was the demonstration I was going to set up. This is the field, mode of service delivery, and this is on the service. Let me actually go back. I'll step back and show you what it looks like properly. So when you come in here, you get all of the fields on the client screen, the service screen, and the project service screen. And you can customize any of those. I might even just click in here and just choose one at random. Let's just choose that one at the top. You can, and as we've seen before, you can search for the fields in there. Okay, so this is on the client. This field is on the client screen. It's in the group of fields called personal details. Okay, and the entity type is an organization type. So for this field, we can set it up to appear or not appear for particular client types. This is organization type. It kind of means client type. I'm sure everyone has seen these before. And what you could do, and actually probably makes a little bit of sense actually, is say that for this organization, government body or agency or other, we want to know whether it's an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander organization or something like that. So just as a demonstration, you could set that up for those particular client types, and then you can make them required for as well. If you don't need this to be a mandatory field, you can remove those, and then you can, I'm not going to save this, you could save that, and that is what you can do with field mapping. And so for some of these other ones, just let me, okay, I want to find one that is not for the client, for the service type, just to demonstrate. You can do them. I'm just going to try that one for the different service types. So if you've got a field and you don't need this field recorded for informations and referrals, don't need that on any of the informations or the referrals you're doing, you can actually remove the field itself from the informations and referrals. Once I do that for their for available for, it's automatically done it for required for and show for as well. You may want to double check those, but it's, yeah, you know, this is not that difficult. All right. So that is what you could do with field mapping. Just let me check this, making fields mandatory. Yeah. So that's pretty much how field mapping works. Okay, we can move on. Custom actions. I can go through custom actions pretty quickly. Okay, this is a little bit more in depth. We're going to flick back over to types and categories. So here's the types and categories, and we've got action types. If you click on action type there, this will bring up the list of all the different types of actions you can add to a service. This will probably look pretty familiar, and you can set up your own ones if you want to. So as I said, these are probably pretty familiar: court attendance, reminders. All of the actions are in here. And we've got a couple, and we've got several custom ones that we've already set up. Here's one ID. You can see who set these up when, whether it's default and whatever. We've also got the display order. So what you can do with the display order, I kind of was going to go over that before and forgot about it. So I might just talk about this really quickly just before I forget this time. Your display order, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can set these up so that they display in a particular order. Actually, what I'll do is I will say, where is it? My custom ones, this one I'm going to make, I've got another one in here. So that's mine and that's mine. I'm going to switch mine around. So that one I'm going to make 66 and that one's 64. And hopefully we'll see referral date and open service review flip when I click reorder. So if you want to change the display order, you simply click reorder, and we've got referral date and open service review have now switched places. And when people are setting up actions, that will be in this particular order in the list. So you can change them. You can change the order of things in the drop-down boxes as they appear. Okay, so you can set up any kinds of actions that you want, really. This was one that I set up a while ago. There was a centre who wanted to be able to record the date of a referral that they made. So that was kind of part of maybe an advice, but more so ongoing matters, representation services. They wanted to be able to record when they gave their client a referral as part of a rep service that they were doing. So they've now got this action in there, referral date, so they can enter an action and that will let them record the date that they made a referral as part of a rep service. Okay. So if I click on that, that will show us how we've set this up. It's pretty simple. We'll go and have a look at how you set up a new one, a new action type. Again, you'll have to parent it. That can be a bit tricky. The referral date, I can't remember what I parented that to, maybe service check. I think I've heard of people who set up custom actions to do with checking services, checking the advice notes, things like that. So you would need to, I'm just going to select that one at random. Again, you can set up a code, set up your title of your custom action, whatever you want, click save and close, and that will be an option that is then available as an action that you can enter to a service. Okay. No, I don't really want to do it. Okay. I might stop and ask for any other questions now as well before this gets away from us, because I don't think I've got that much more material to get through, and we may be running ahead of time. Alex, are there any questions on anything I've gone through yet?
Not yet, but if anybody wants to come off mute and wants to ask their question live, if you either press the raise hand button or pop a quick note in the questions box, I can help you come off mute.
Thanks, Alex.
We've got a couple of people.
Okay.
I'm going to start with Kamal Preet. Just give me a moment. There you are. Let me just take. You should be able to come off mute now, Kamal Preet.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, can.
Yes, hello. I am from Brisbane and I work in Moreton Bay Regional Community Legal Service in Caboolture. And my question is regarding the order, the display order. So once I reset the order, let's say, it will show the items as per the number I have given them on the screen?
Yes, correct. And when you click that reorder button, it'll actually reorder them on this screen as well, so that you can, it sort of doesn't sort of seem that it does. In fact, maybe it doesn't order them on this screen perfectly. But when you are setting up whatever it is, this is for actions. When you go into an action and click the action type field, it will be in the order that is listed here in these numbers.
Okay. Thank you. I think, yeah. I was just double checking. Thanks.
Sure. Thanks for your question.
Thank you. And we've got another one. Ray, did you want to ask that live? I'm just going to allow you to unmute yourself.
Yes, sure. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you. Hi, Ray. Ooh. We can't hear you at the moment, but I've got the question here. So just while you're coming off mute, I might read that out for Sam. Are there any other templates set up in actions other than the critical dates template?
Critical dates, I don't believe there are. I did say I was going to go through something before, and I've just realized I've kind of forgotten that. Let me go back and have a look. Okay, what you can do is, sorry, I'm just going to demonstrate this quickly and then probably come back to that question. Additional details, that's not what I want. Sorry, a service, additional parties, apologies for that. If you come over there and then click, I think it's click new, and then click customize and customize view, you will see that when you do that, we now have these custom fields thing, so you can add custom fields to the additional parties. I'm just going to close that. What else? The actions. We're talking about actions, aren't we? Okay. Are there any templates other than the critical dates? Ray, have you come off mute yet? The templates. Reminder email template. That's good at coding there, doesn't it? Critical date reminder. Okay. I know what your question is. I don't believe there are any other standard reminder email templates, but I think you can get them set up, although it's really not easy. You do need a specialist to help you do that. At least you probably will. I have no idea how it works. I have like the basic idea of how it works, enough to know that I can't do it. If you do want other email templates, the best thing to do is to let us know on the help desk, and we'll get our expert on those templates to help you set up the templates that will work for you. I hope that answers that question. While I'm here, I'm just going to demonstrate. Go to customize view. So we're in an action there. We were setting up a new action. You can come and go to the customize field, and again we've got the custom fields, and you can add a custom field to your actions now as well. So those two demonstrations with that without that answer that question in the middle are very new. I believe that was only put into class yesterday. The ability to add custom fields to actions. You can also add them to project service actions and additional parties. That's very new. If you do try them, I would highly recommend trying it on the test version of class before you go trying to add things to your live version of class, just in case there are still any bugs in that very new system. Okay.
Sorry, Sam, we've had another question come through.
Sure.
I'm just going to see if, okay, if you'd like to come off mute, Saria, you should be able to ask Sam your question live if you're up for that.
Hi, yeah, this is Surya from My Community Legal. We've been considering how to, so our intake form questions, they don't really match the same structure as the class questions. So we were curious if there was a way to change the order so that when I do have my people, the volunteers entering data, that it kind of goes in the same order, and then it doesn't take so much training for me to teach people how to do that. So I'm not sure if it's an option, but we just thought we'd check.
Yeah, sure. Can I just get your name again, sorry?
Surya Freitag.
Surya.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm thinking, Surya, what you mean is the order of these fields. Can you make, say, I don't know, just as an example, flip client ID and client category, something like that? You want to reorder these fields?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. We were just talking about that this morning. That's not possible in class at the moment, unfortunately. There's been some very preliminary discussions about it. It seems that it may be really a bit expensive to put that change in, but it may be happening in the future. It probably won't happen in the near future. It certainly won't happen overnight. Yeah, so unfortunately that's not available at the moment, but we are talking about it. I hope that answers your question, Surya.
Yeah, thank you. We just thought it's worth asking, otherwise we'll never know.
Yep, sure, and apologies that that doesn't work. That we do get a lot of questions about that, and it would be nice if that did work. Okay, are there any other questions right now, Alex?
Nope, I think Ollie's answered all the rest of the questions.
Okay, great. Let's move on. Customizing triage. This is pretty quick. We're running a bit ahead of schedule, so we might be able to wrap this up a little bit early.
I'm so sorry, Sam. Another question has just come through.
Okay, sure.
Is there a way to send an email without a calendar file?
Yes, I believe so. Okay, so if you're setting up an action, where am I? Excuse me while I click around. Here are some actions. Without a calendar file to send a reminder, that you shouldn't, yes, absolutely. You shouldn't actually get a calendar file unless you click the send calendar file button. Just so I'm understanding this correctly, Alex, can you read the question again, please? Sorry for that.
I'm just taking Georgia off mute, so if you want to ask that one live, go for it.
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Certainly can.
Lovely. Yes, so I was just hoping that we could send reminders to our solicitors without sending them a calendar file, because we do create separate calendar appointments for that.
Yeah. Okay, sure. So class shouldn't be sending you a reminder with a calendar file unless you tick that checkbox there. So if you are setting up reminder emails, and that checkbox is unticked, and you're getting a calendar file anyway, let us know at the help desk, because that's a bug, and we'll get that fixed for you.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for your question.
Lovely. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Okay. And thank you also, Alex. Any other questions at the moment?
I think that's all for now, Sam.
Okay, thanks, Alex. All right.
Thank you.
So there's only a little bit left, I think. Customizing triage. This is not a difficult concept. I'll show you how it works. I'm just going to go back to class and triage, open up the triage list. I'm just going to close that tab just while I'm waiting. Maybe that one as well. Okay, here's the triage list. I'm just going to open a triage service, and I'm going to show you a custom field that we have set up that only exists for services that have this service type. Here we have a service, and the service type, when it loads, will show you that it is set to triage. So for any services with the service type set to triage, we have this field down the bottom. It's this triage checklist. This is something that we helped a center somewhere set up. Has the client seen our agreement? And there are those pretty common options that people set up a lot: yes, no, and unknown. So this particular field, and this entire group of fields, in fact, only lives on services if the service type is set to triage, and it's pretty simple to set up. We'll flick back over to the customize screen, come over to our custom fields, and while we're setting up a new field, a new custom field, not a group, just a single field, we'll say that I'll just select some of this stuff just at random. And map type is the service type map type, and now we can make this available for triage. And again, if you want that required, a mandatory field, you leave that required for there. If not, remove it. Once you click save and close, you have custom fields that are only visible on these triage services. So that's customizing triage. You can have something like that. Something on your triage services. I'll just demonstrate while I'm here. As soon as you change that, let's just say we did a legal advice, and we'll scroll back down. That field's disappeared. It's only there for triage services, so that could be something that might work for, as a bit of a business rule for your center. Not sure if it's going to be super important for your data keeping or anything like that, but that's something that is available for you. Okay, I'm just going to check if there's anything else left to go through. There's not really. So I'm going to open this back up to questions. See if there are any other questions that anyone has before we wrap up for the day.
We've had a few come through from Ray, but it looks like they still can't come off mute, I'm afraid. So the questions are, does that comment go to the action when it reopens? For example, setting a safe to leave a message yes or no comment.
I'm not quite getting that one. Okay.
Let me just, Ray, if you want, I'll try and take you off mute again. You should have seen a request come through. Did that work that time? Looks like technology is failing us today. Ray, what I might do is I might get in touch with you after this session, and we can get some questions going between you and the team. We've got a couple of follow-up questions. We've got one from Georgia here, just a moment. Georgia, if you'd like to come off mute, you should be able to do so and ask your question.
Hi, I was just playing around while you were talking and it won't let me send an email without that send calendar file option selected. No email sends. So should I just send that one to the help desk as a bug?
Yes. Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Yes,
Lovely.
please
Thank
do.
you.
Yeah, sure thing.
Cool. Holly, I'm going to unmute you just a moment. Got to find you in our list here. There we are. All right,
Hi
Holly.
guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yep,
can.
We certainly can.
Yep, beautiful. My question was just, how badly can I break things? How scared should I be? Obviously, I'm going to use the test account to fill around first, but yeah, I'm just wondering how worried I should be.
Okay, great. Thanks for the question, Holly. That's a really good one. There is some danger that you could, do a little bit of damage. I wouldn't imagine too much. I'm really glad to hear that you're going to use the test account to test things out first. One thing that I have just remembered that I've forgotten to say until now is that we're fairly well aware that custom fields a slowdown class. We know class is not a super snappy system already. So if you do go and add 100 new custom fields to your instance of class, you may notice a bit of a performance decrease. So we don't really recommend doing that. We do recommend contacting the help desk. If you want to set up some custom fields, absolutely run them by us, and even just ask us, do you think this is a good idea? Do you have any recommendations on whether we should be doing this or not? In trying to answer your question, it's possible you could do a little bit of damage to the system. I'm not sure exactly what. It's possible that you could end up deleting some data somehow. I'm trying to think of an example of how that works off the top of my head. My memory's trying to reach back in time to where I've heard something about this, but it's not really working. So I would advise some caution. You don't need to be overly cautious. Just be a little bit cautious, keeping in mind that it's possible that you could do a little bit of damage. Most of this sort of stuff can be undone. Custom fields are where you kind of don't want to go just throwing them straight in. With the types and categories and the field mappings, it's possible you might do a little bit of damage, but probably not a lot. I hope that answers your question. Is there anything else you would like to know about that?
No, that was very reassuring. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks, glad to hear it. Okay, Alex, any other questions?
We certainly do. I'm just going to take Julie off mute now. Julie, if you'd like to come and ask your question live.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Yes, I was just wondering, when you put an existing client into triage, they automatically get a new client ID number, which is very confusing. Is there any way you can avoid this?
Yes, there is, and I believe we've actually fixed that. So a couple of times today, I've mentioned that There were some new things that we added to class just yesterday. I believe this is one of them. So I haven't tested it thoroughly myself yet, so I can't show you. But
Okay.
yes, there is definitely a way around that that's coming up. I think there may be something in class news about this, which will be coming out within the next few days. I think Alex will probably know exactly when that's coming out. I think there may be something about this in that. If you don't get the class newsletter and want to, again, send us an email to the help desk. I'll show you how to do that in just a moment.
I do get it.
Okay, great. Yep, yeah, there should be something in the class news about that. At least I think there will be.
Okay.
So yes, we have got a way to fix that
Great.
coming up very, very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Just for
you're welcome.
everybody's information, the class news will be coming out tomorrow morning, so
Great.
stay tuned.
Thanks, Alex. Any other questions?
I don't have anything else at the moment.
Okay, great. Thanks, Alex. It looks like we might wrap up about a quarter of an hour early. Apologies for that. I'm not really apologizing. I'm sure most of you are probably a bit happy about that. Okay, I will show you how to get, if anyone isn't aware and you want to contact the help desk and you're not aware how to, you can click that button there. I'll show you again, the little circle with the question mark, click that. That will bring you to our website where you can scroll down. This brings you actually directly to the class documentation on this Community Legal Centres Australia website. And getting help is in here somewhere. It's in this column on the right, which isn't ideal, but it is what it is. It's under help and support. I just spotted it there. If you click on that one, we've actually got it here as well. So we've actually got the new portal, which I'm going to open and show you a bit later. You can keep track of your inquiries on the portal. And here's the email address if you just want to send us an email and get a response by email. You can just email icthelp@clcs.org.au. Otherwise, if you do want to be able to track things a little bit more thoroughly, you can use the portal, which is here. And there's a link to it there, or there's the URL for it right there. And this is what it looks like. You can select, we support a couple of other systems, but if you're looking for class, you can say this is about account management, it's about customization, which is what we've been going through today. And you can set up a question on the help desk that way, and then at the top, you can click that button, request, and that will show you all your requests and the status of them, and help you track your requests through there. If you've got some general feedback for us, or you need some clarification, you can select those particular options on the help desk. Now, in terms of, we usually have a list of class training information on our website. That's not super up to date right now. I will attempt to get that up to date either this afternoon or tomorrow. So keep an eye on that one. I'll just show you quickly. If you click on the training there, and then we've got the class training schedule. If you just click onto that, that will give you the list of class training sessions that are coming up. Again, that's not up to date, but will be within the next couple of days, fingers crossed. We've also got the Emergence series that is ongoing. We still have issues with the pandemic, so these webinars are a good thing. Our thoughts going out to people in Brisbane, Byron Bay, and areas like that as well. That one has just wrapped up. We've got all of these other webinars coming up. This one may be of interest to you. How to make the most of the tech you've already got. This session is going to be about technology and how to use it better to make our lives easier, not harder, which is what tech seems to do sometimes. So you can register for that one if you want. We've also got the review of the case management systems comparison that was done. So there's a report on a high-level review of case management systems, so a comparison of class, action, step, leap, and a few others, I believe, that I can't remember the names of right now. So those are coming up in the future as well. If you want to register for those, you absolutely can. And there may be more webinars being added to this list as well. You would simply hover over Emergence and then click on Webinars, and that's where you find details for those. Okay. I think that just about brings us to the end today. So thanks for being part of this webinar. Hope this does help. If you do have questions, yeah, feel free to message us at the help desk. I'll just throw over to Alex one more time, just to see if there's anything else that has come up that I can help anyone with.
Let me just have a look here. Sorry. While I'm looking, I just want to say thanks, Sam, for presenting this, and thanks, Ollie, for jumping on the questions in the chat. We've had no new questions, but lots of thank you. So thank you, everyone, for joining and coming along with the customization training today.
Yeah, hope this has helped. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this webinar. And bye-bye today from CLCs Australia, and have a nice afternoon.
See you, everyone.